I think of compassion fatigue this way. Unlike burnout, which is physical exhaustion, where you have pushed your physical body to a point where it needs regeneration, where your physical body needs rest, well, a vacation can fix that. Time out can fix that. Time off can fix that. Whereas compassion fatigue is very different in that even after timeouts, time offs, you still have a psychological exhaustion that is pervasive in how you are now interacting in your environment. An environment that at one time you found very enjoyable, satisfying, and fulfilling. The people who work within the 8 pillars, the 8 pillars being domestic violence, reproductive justice, maternal mortality, campus rape culture, homelessness, human trafficking, the industrialized incarceration prison complex, along with pay inequities and sexual harassment. These all intersect. We are therefore implementing intersectionality as the framework by which we are touching each other in collaboration in each session. So when we think of the chemical messengers in our brain creating a neural circuitry, making a pathway for compassion, we're constantly dealing with populations in the 8 pillars that have been traumatized in some way. And we're working with people to assist them in building resources, finding means in which they can now get better, grasp onto their lives and move into places that implement and give them more security. We find that our own internal cellular biology begins to take on more and more of the bombardment of the feelings from those clients, those populations that we work with. And we begin to take on their emotions. And what oftentimes happens to our brains are we begin to produce a lot of these heightened emotions that we absorbed in working in these populations where people have experienced trauma. And the more and more we internalize their trauma, our own body's cellular biological makeup is stimulated so that our cells are turning on only when stimulated by similar traumatizing occurrences. When that happens, our body's cellular communication memorizes those heightened emotions, or when the cell inside of us is overwhelmed, the receptors in that neural pathway, that neural circuitry within our brains becomes heightened. It becomes desensitized. Either way, the chemical structure of our own biology begins to need more of the heightened chemical in order to feel emotion. So we will actually conduct ourselves in a heightened emotional manner because we become accustomed to that environment. We've normalized trauma. We find ourselves now needing to have the same heightened sense of emotionality, whether it's because we've been desensitized, and in order to feel anything, we have to have that kind of distressing emotional experience. Or it could be because our body has begun to memorize the emotionality by dealing with these populations that have experienced continual trauma. Whichever the case might be, we're now plagued with what's known as emotional addiction, where our thinking is how we feel and our feelings is how we think. Well, on the day of the Compassion Charrette, we're going to focus on the psychological phenomena of compassion fatigue.